Hello and welcome to this Beat DJ tutorial. We're going to go over as much as we can to make it a comprehensive tutorial for version 1.1.4. We can start with the menu bar down here, so you can see version is 1.1.4. I have Pro enabled, output is mono, and sample rate is 24,000. I believe this is mono and this is so low because I'm using Bluetooth right now and I'm also recording. Not a big deal for the recording. Optional arguments are arguments that will show up for everyone when they're set to true, and if you turn them off, that's kind of like taking off the training wheels. So there's less information that Beat DJ will ask you for, and it will just expect you to know more. So for now, I'm going to turn that back on. The humanized amount, the default humanized amount. So that's how much your sounds are going to vary slightly to get a more human feel. Right now it's set to 0, so it's just going to be right on the ticker. So if I set the default to like 5, that would be the random amount of random variation. 5 over 9 times the 64th. That would be possible. You would want to turn that on for more like I don't know, world music, or just if you want a bit of a sloppier feel to your beat. Really depends. The fundamental frequency, which is tied to the BPM. With Beat DJ, the fundamental frequency is always tied to the BPM, and that is because the harmony is linked to the tempo in music, or it can be, and in this case it is. This might be more flexible in the future, but for now that's how it works. You can think of it as like the waveforms of the music will match up with the rhythm so that everything is in sync. So you can see if I change the BPM, fundamental frequency also changes. Oops, I meant 135. The clock here shows the number of bars that have passed. This 4 bars is like the longest loop length you have in your song. And then this is the 16th notes that have passed, and also the longest number of 16th notes in your song. So that the current loop is 64 16th notes. And the BPM in the bottom left here. On the very left we have the scale. So these horizontal lines. So you can see if I choose a random scale, those lines will change. We'll get into that more. The spheres here I will get into later. That's for live performance mostly. And it also shows you your stereo field. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you are getting started is run the help command, which will load up this file for you. It showed me where it is, and then when I open it, I can see all the commands here. Okay. So let's just go through one by one as fast as we can. Adjust screen is a command. An alternate way you can type it is screen, right there. You can adjust the screen resolution. Let's try it out. So the fit screen mode, I think, is the default, if I remember correctly. So it's asking me to enter one of these options. You can click to load one of the options, or double click to choose, or you can just type it in. And nothing changed because I'm already in that mode. So now, let's say I want to run the screen command again, but I know that I want to do pixel scale mode. So I can just do a space and hit P, enter P. And now it's asking me for the scale factor. Let's do 3. Anytime you want to get rid of what you just typed, just run clear. And now let's move our screen back to fixed, or fit. The affiliates command is our affiliate program. And it will just take you to the website and explain that. AI help, so we can ask AI questions. So you can see I typed it all in one line that time. I put the command and then I put the arguments afterwards, which was just what I wanted to ask. The AI said, to start making music with BeatDJ using your sound library, follow these steps. Set your source folder, load some sounds, so it's giving you some commands to load. And then it's explaining how stuff works here. And it also gave us a whole bunch of commands to run. We can either double click these to run them one at a time, like so, or I can just do run to run them all. So I didn't really want to go through with all of those commands because it's a lot right now. So when I was in the middle of that and I tried to stop the program, it wouldn't stop. I tried to run ST for stop. And the reason it wouldn't stop is because it was the AI had run some commands and those commands were asking me for values. So it was asking me to choose a melodic pattern, and then it was asking me for an octave modifier. So each time I entered ST, it was saying, oh, that's not a valid integer. Please try again. So to get out of those loops, if you're ever stuck in a command loop like that, where you're done with the command and you don't want to enter anything, you just hit Control C and that will cancel it and break you out of there. Background color. I'm going to skip that one for now. It's pretty self-explanatory. If I enter background, you can choose a color and then you can choose the opacity. Background image, this is a new one. So if I type image, what you'll see on yours is you won't see all these files yet. You'll just see random, none, or directory. What I would recommend for how to use this is first load up a directory. So you'll run dir and give it the directory path. So if I go to my pictures and go to art, I can do option, hold option down and copy art as path name. And then I will paste that there. Oops. You run dir, now enter. Okay, so it loaded 38 images into my BTJ images collection. And now I can just run image random to flip through those images. So you can't see it too well right now, but it's loading those up in the background. And it will just stretch the image to fit. You can also run tile to make the images tile. BPM. BPM is beats per minute, the tempo of the song. You just run the BPM command. With all commands, you just run them, and then it'll ask you for whatever information it needs. You can also, like I said, enter them all the command and the information at once. There are some interesting options here with the BPM that most programs don't have. One is that you can just do up or down to go to harmonic BPMs of 120. And that's kind of a good way to just skip around to the different genre BPMs. So let's go up, and then it will ask me transition time in seconds, and I'll just hit enter to accept the default. So you can see that this 2 at the end is in parentheses. That's the default. So if I hit enter, it'll just select that, and you can see the BPM just drifted up in 2 seconds to 142.5. We can click the up arrow to run this exact same command again. So we can click the up arrow to see our command history, down arrow to go back, and then enter to rerun. Now we're at 150. I should probably stop clearing the console so much so you guys can actually read what I do. Just a habit. Cloud. So cloud is where you can manage your cloud files. And firstly, we'll go over the cloud splitter command. So if you don't know, the splitter command pulls sounds off our hard drive. Like that. Pulls random sounds when you run S. But the cloud splitter command pulls sounds from the cloud. So we have a database of sounds in the Sony Air Cloud, and when you run the CS command, it will download a sound. And you can optionally search or just hit enter to choose a random sound. There's a bit of a delay there. There we go. So we created 2 sounds. It goes a bit faster once it does the first one. warms up the server there. And we can search. And we got a kick from the cloud. See how this sounds. Okay. I gotta stop clearing the console so you can read it. And so now if I want to manage these, manage my cloud files, because when you use the cloud splitter command, it's from user contributed files. So if I run cloud, I have these options to manage my cloud files, my personal ones. So let's list. So here you can see all of the samples I've uploaded. And I can delete all of them. I can delete by BPM. You can delete by a search term. Or sorry, DL means download. This is delete. And this is the ID here at the end. So if I wanted to delete a specific one, I can just click on one of these rows here and just I'll do basically cloud, and then what I want to do is delete by ID. Enter the ID, not delete, download. I just downloaded that into my files. So if I go to, I use the file command, FIL, and go to my downloads. Try to close some of that down. Downloads, and it's organized by BPM. So the first number here is the BPM. So if we go to 120, it's right there. You can see easy way to navigate this craziness in the files is to check the dates. So you can see today, I just downloaded that. Alright. Continue is a useful command. So let's clear a console, and we're going to delete our sound. So I'll do all delete. And what I want to do is create an interesting hi-hat pattern. So let's do search for hat, S hat. I can already tell I don't want that one. Let's play that. Okay. Let's set our loop length to 32. Let's set our index to 0. So now this chunk here, this sort of lighter green region is the whole sound. Within that sound are these chops, and it will show you, the white lines are the chops inside that region. And then it's playing twice. It's playing up to 64 16th notes, or 4 bars. So with the continue command, what we want to do is modify the second half. So I'm going to run C for continue. As you can see, it's one of the alternate alternative names here, C or CO or CON, and also you can see this cyan number here, this light blue number is the sound we're currently editing. So I could either type 0C, but since we already have the 0 here, it means that's already the sound we're editing. So I'm just going to do C. Now you can see what happened is it duplicated the continue command, it duplicates the sound, and then it shuffles it and does a variation. So this second half is slightly different. So let's play that. Let's clean this up a bit so it makes more sense. So what we're going to do is do pattern, and I'm going to say size of, I want to do like a 16th note hi-hat pattern, so I'm going to do the chop size will be 1/16th note long. The number of chops I want is going to be 32, which is the length of my loop that I have in mind. And I want to do a binary pattern of the hats like that. So it's going to be on, off, on, off. There we go. Now it didn't just use the exact same hi-hat sound for all of those. It took that loop we had and then took out each hi-hat part and combined it and shortened it, each hi-hat sound. So there's some variation there. And I just ran the volume envelope command to add a faster decay to those sounds. So I'm going to set the length to 32 again. That makes it repeat within our 64, or within our 4 bars. And I'm going to run C again. And now it's a bit more obvious what happened. You can see that it created the new loop, and then it shuffled these notes around. I think all my kicks sound terrible because of the sample rate or something. Which is just a problem with the recording right now, but that's okay. Alright, dancer command. This is fun. So you can run dancer, and I'm going to create a dancer, and let's do, which color? Do white. And I want to create another one, so I'll just click the up arrow, and let's do lime. And let's do a random color, so I'll click the up arrow and create another one. Oh, nice. So these guys will dance to the tempo. Let's see if I go down to 60 or maybe 90. It should start to slow down. Or sometimes they dance, double speed, but it's still within the tempo. Alright. And then to delete them, you can just delete them one at a time, or delete them all at once. Default humanize we went over. Type it like that, and we'll just set ours to 2 for now. Change it up. Delete, you can type it as DEL or D, and we can use that now to delete sound 1 and then sound 0. Delete from disk will delete, works just like delete, but it'll also remove it from your hard drive. If there's just a really annoying sound, you can use that. down will move sounds in the list. So let's say I want to move sound 0 down, enter 0, and then ask me how far I want to move it down. So let's say we want to move 0 to the bottom, we can just do down and do like 10. And even though we don't have that many, it will just move it to the bottom. There's also up, so you can move sounds up as well in the same way. Duplicate works very similar to continue, but it doesn't continue it, it just duplicates it. So another thing with running commands is I can select multiple at once by doing like this, the sounds with a comma. And deleting. And let's duplicate 0. And another way you can select sounds is if I wanted to delete 1 through 3, I could do that instead of using 1, 2, 3. And I can also just do it by name. So if I want to delete all the drum sounds, I can just do drum delete. Dynamics. This is the one I use a lot, probably one of the most useful ones. Let's do a tom drum. Actually, let's do a hat, it'll be easier to see. Okay. So dynamics will not work on the sound as it is. We have a hat that's playing every 16th notes, but you see this sort of light gray bar here. There's no white vertical lines, so dynamic will not work on it because there's only one sound. So if you apply dynamic to this, it's basically going to do like a random volume change on one sound. What we want to do is a random volume changes over time. So we're going to do pattern command again, and I'll accept the default. I want to do 16th notes. And the number of them I want is going to be 64. And I'm just going to do them all on this time. So I can enter the pattern I want as 1. And that sounds like this. Now if we want basically to add volume, random volume changes, not totally random, but just volume changes, we can use the dynamic command. And it gives us some options to choose from here. Humanish pattern, so it will select from some pre-made patterns. Random, which is totally random. Ascending, descending, and then you can also enter in your own patterns with these numbers being the volume level. So 9-0 would be loud, silent, for example. So if we listen to that, it sounds like this. Let's do dynamics ascending. You'll see that gets louder each time it plays. We can do dynamics P, and that will choose a random pattern for us. And that's pretty much it. If we want to do a crazy volume pattern, we can do something like this option here. So we'll just do dynamics, and then, I don't know, let's do loud, silent, quiet, louder, loud, silent. Okay, effects. Let's put some reverb on this hat. So there are 6 effects racks. You can think of them as kind of like multi-effects guitar pedals. They all have volume, distortion, flange, echo, chorus, reverb, high pass, low pass, and that's it. So I want to put reverb on this hat. So what I'm going to do is first I want to choose, you can see this number R0 up here. The hat is already on rack 0. But rack 0 is kind of like your staging area where sounds come in. So I don't want to have too crazy of effects on there. So what I'm going to do is move the hat. You can either do it like this again by, hat, rack 1. 0, sound 0 is going to move to rack 1 with this command. Or I can do hat, rack 1, same difference. You can see this number here change from R0 to R1. Now this effects rack is ready to have effects applied to it. So I'm going to use the effects command. And now the effects command it doesn't matter what this cyan selection is here, and it doesn't matter what you put in front of it. You don't need to put anything in front of it. Just do, whenever you want effects, you just run the rack command first to move the sound to the rack, and then you run the effects command. Now we're going to do effects, and we can select all racks or the one we want, which is rack 1. I'll hit enter, and I'm going to select reverb. And one I really like to use because it's really easy to hear is psychotic. So I'll select psychotic at the bottom here, enter, and enter transition time. I'll just accept the default. Let's hear our hat now. If I want to turn that off, just going to click up arrow and set it to 0 for the preset. Let's try echo really quick. So I know I want to do echo, and I know it's on rack 1, so I don't have to go through the whole menu system. I'll just do rack 1, echo. And I want the delay in 16th notes to be, let's do 3, and then I'll just accept the defaults for the decay and stuff like that. So I just hit enter, enter, enter. There we go. Let's check it out. Now if I want to reset, I will do effects 1, reset. That will turn off the effects on that rack. Export. Let's create a little beat real quick. Let's say I like this beat and I want to export the stems so that I can work on it in another DAW. So what I'm going to do is do all, A for all to select all these sounds, EXP for export. Now, it gives me a tip here. Effects cannot be applied to exported files. You can capture them with recording. It's asking me if I want to export them as one combined loop, joined, or as separate files. Let's do separate. I will accept the default directory, which is going to be the default and then the scale. I don't want to normalize. I will accept no. And part of the reason it's good not to normalize unless you really want to is that BeatDJ does algorithmic mixing under the hood, so it kind of fixes a lot of the mixing issues you'll encounter if you bring this into another DAW. So if you leave that mixing in there when you export to another DAW, it's going to make your life easier. So we'll just accept default, no, and then this is part where you get to upload to the cloud. This is totally optional, but if you want to share your loops to be resampled by others, you just enter Y here, and that will upload them to the database, and you can delete them anytime, and you can also re-download them, so it keeps a backup for you in case your computer gets broken or something. And then it asks me if I want to open the file location. I can type yes, and you can see there's the 3 loops I exported. First number is the BPM, the type of sound, and then this information afterwards is the index, the sound number, the index, and the loop length. And then this other stuff at the end is the scale that was used. Sorry, not the scale, the ratios. So 8/7, 7/4, and then it shows you the decimal value also. I might change the way these are printed out, but for now that's how it is. It's a lot of information, probably too much information, but if you really needed to know, then you would know your whole melody and whatever just by the scale values there. Okay. So you can also export as joined. So I'm going to do all EXPJ and accept the defaults. And I don't want to upload that. There we go. All right. Extend. This is a simple one, so let's just make the kick twice as long. And what I mean is it'll play, instead of playing every 4/16 notes, it'll play every 8. So we're just going to do kick EX to extend. You can also type it as EXT. So that's extending our loop length. Feedback. This is a really good one. I look at these all the time when these notes when I'm coding. So if you want to leave me a note, just do FBAC or SUG for suggestion, and then just type your feedback for me, like the file names are weird, or whatever you want to say. Try to be, detailed about whatever it is so I can fix it for you. And then if your email is added in the program, then I'll send you an email and let you know that I fixed it. Or that I added your feature request. Find is a weird command. I don't use that very often, but it will basically allow you to find which sounds are playing. So if I'm playing and I'm like, what is that sound? If you hit find right at the same time that it's playing, it will highlight it for you. So you can see it highlighted the perk there because I hit find right at that same time. Font. You can just set the size. I'll make the font bigger. Do fundamental frequency. You can change, which will also change the BPM. Because they're linked in BeatDJ. So let's set the fundamental frequency to 512. You can see it set our BPM to 120. And it shows you the equation of how it did that. Get one shots is used to take any audio file you have and break it up into pieces. Probably something you won't need very often, but useful. Let's do music. I'm just gonna right click, hold down Option on this file, click copy to copy the path, and let's do shots to run this command. Enter the path. And the trigger threshold, the default's pretty good. Goes from 0 to 1. You can experiment with that. So I'm going to run enter. Minimum length about 0.3 seconds. Sure. It did freeze for a second. When BeatDJ freezes, don't worry, just let it do its thing. That's some stuff I need to work on still. It will usually, even if like you do a super long recording and it freezes, just give it about 5 minutes and it'll be fine. And your recording will be there. So, okay. FIL to open the file paths, and you can see my one shots are in this folder, and then here's all the little pieces that broke that file into. So basically, we'll just take, the parts out that are that have peaks in the waveform. Glitch. So glitch is a really old command that we might quit using because we have some more advanced ones coming up. But if you run play and I do glitch on all of these, it will basically randomly shuffle the notes with a probability every time of shuffling. So let's do all glitch, and I'll do probability of 7. So now if I run play, you can see it'll kind of shuffle those around. Granulate. Granulate is a fun one. It really can give you glitchy sounds. It's good for like IDM. When I use it a lot when I perform. Not a lot, but like tastefully. The only downside is you can't go back. So if you granulate something at the current moment, there's no undo. There's no undo in BeatDJ in general, but there will be eventually. So I'm just going to granulate all these. And you can see the waveform on the kick got weird there, and some of the hats. And basically what it does is it takes the length of the one shot, the length of the I'm going to call it one shot because I can't think of, the chops is what I normally call them. These little pieces in here of the sounds. And it will divide the length by a random number to like 9 or something, and then it will repeat the first part of the sound that many times. So it kind of is like a CD glitching effect. And we can hear how that sounds. All right. Humanize. So this is if you want a specific humanized value on a specific sound instead of what the default is. Then you just run HU. I'm going to change all of them to 0. Image tile, we went over that one. Alternative way you can type it is tile. Import. Import does not really work right now. It's experiment at your own risk. It kind of works, but basically you can import a sound like a vocal sample or something and not have Beat DJ chop it up. You just use the file path and it'll import it for you. Lock. So if I don't want a sound to be edited with the majority of like destructive commands, what I'm going to do is lock the kick here. Yes, lock. And you can see now if I try to do like a shuffle on it, it won't change. So that helps if you and you can't delete it either. That helps if you want to delete everything except the kick, or you have a really nice kick, you don't want it to change, you can lock it. And now I'm going to turn the lock off, so I'll do lock no, or lock off, works the same. The Boolean values, off or on, true or false, yes or no, they all work. However you type it. Or you could do lock true and lock false. Same thing. Log. Oh, yeah. The log, you can copy the contents of this log, copy to clipboard, or export to a file. There it is. Loop index or index. Let's get a simple looking waveform here. So we can see that our kick is on index 0, this number right here, and let's say, well, let me just use the kick as a backdrop for what we'll do. So let's do search for a tom, and we'll move the tom around using the index command. So you can see I'm just moving that around, and this number here, the 7, is the index, and it's changing. So that the index is never higher than the loop length. The second number is a loop length 8. If you try to enter it higher, it will just divide it. Oh, and then the loop length, which we've showed a few times, but I can just set the loop length to 16. Now if I wanted to set the index to 12, or let's do 14, it will sound like this. And keep in mind the reason Beat DJ sounds really bad right now is because of the sample rate, and that's just because I'm streaming with my Bluetooth headphones and I'm recording the screen. I don't know. usually sounds better because the sample rate's higher and it outputs stereo. Okay, melody. Let's create a little hi-hat or a little synth melody thing here. Alright. And then let's see how this sounds. And what I want to do is just run the mel command. And you can select from these options a human-ish sounding melody. So it will use an algorithm to kind of like create a human sounding melody. Or you can use totally random, or scale ascending, descending, or you can enter your own custom scale based on these pitch indexes here. So the scale right here on the left, this is pitch index 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say we want to just do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be the same as ascending, but it will show you kind of how that works. I'm going to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll just do, sure, I'll do 5 too. And then octave modifier, this is a pretty deep sound. Let's say I want to bring it up 1 octave. I'm just going to enter 1 to bring it up 1 octave. Now let's hear that. Let's do a random human sounding pattern, and I'll bring it up 2 octaves. And you can see that the pitches, it showed you all the pitches that it used. So those are these scale pitches here. 3, 5, 2, 5, 4, 4, 2, 0, 0, and then it repeats. Or it repeats after a bit longer. And that's the human sounding pattern that it came up with. If you want to set it to specific, like you just want to set it to the fundamental frequency, you can just do 0 or 3 or whatever. You know, you don't have to enter commas if you want just 1 pitch. Mic record, I'm not going to show that because it might mess with the recording, the screen recording. And it's pretty sensitive. It's easy to clip and make it sound weird. So that will be fixed in future versions, but right now just be aware you're going to want to run a test recording a couple times and make sure you're getting the right distance to the microphone. And it just uses the default microphone, so it would use like your computer speakers or whatever you have set as your default input. And it works just like the other recording like with the record option, but the record option records the sounds from the program, and then the mic records from the mic. Micro timing offset, this is a new one. I will delete that, clear this. Let's create a new hat, and what I want to do is do 16th notes on that hat, and then I want to duplicate it, and the micro timing offset, I will run MT, and the default value is 4.5, which is you can enter from -9 to 9. So 4.5 is going to be in between, so it's going to be a 30-second note offset. It's going to be a 64th note offset. I actually want to do a 30-second note offset, which would be 9. looks like I need to improve the way that is written also. So I'll do feedback or clearly explain amount to offset in micro timing. Okay, so micro timing, and then I'm going to do 9. I might start changing the input values from 0 to 8, because then when you enter, you want half of something, you just enter 4. Because 4.5 is not ideal, and you often want half of something, like 50%. The reason I use 0 to 9 for a lot of inputs is so you can type it faster. You can also enter decimals, so you have infinite, options, but just being able to enter quickly, 0 through 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, is great for live performance when you have to be fast. Anyways, let's offset the hi-hat 30-second note to the right. Boom. And now you can't see it in the what do we call this? Timeline view? Timeline view. But it's there. The offset is on there. Maybe I should show that. But let's play it and you can hear the 30-second notes. And we can do 64th notes. 4.5. And you can also do negative. Alright. Now let's say we're playing live. The move command is for playing live performance. Right now, what we hear, you can see these spheres. The bottom left one is the left headphones. Bottom is the right. Bottom right one is the right channel of the headphones. And the top sphere on the left is the left speaker channel. And the top right is the right speaker channel. Or was that so hard to say? Okay. We're going to move the hi-hat from our headphones to the audience. And so let's say we're performing live. Maybe we have a few other sounds, and we want to keep those in our headphones, but we're going to move the hi-hat because it's sounding good and ready to go to the audience. Here we go. So you can see it asked me to enter 1 for headphone, or 1 for speakers, or -1 for headphones, and then the transition time in whole notes. Some of this will be changing, like the transition time, but it'll more or less be the same. And then let's say I want to move it back to my headphones. I can do -1, and I'll do a faster transition time of 2 whole notes. You can see it floats down from the speakers, so it fade out from the audience, and then once it's silent to the audience, it shoots over to the headphones. So now it's back in my headphones. Now, in order for this to work, you need to use the audio MIDI setup. I'm not sure how to do it on other operating systems, but on a Mac, you will set it up with your external headphones and then your audio interface. And it looks like a quad. You set it up as a quadraphonic system, and BeatDJ will pick up on that if you restart BeatDJ, and make sure you have it selected up in the top here as your output source. Whatever you name your aggregated device. And it will also show down here, the output will switch to quad instead of stereo, so you'll be able to tell that you're ready. To mute a sound, it's just MU or MUT, so I can mute the hat. Option yes. And then to mute off, you just do no to unmute, or you can do, you know, on, off, and you can also do solo. So I'll mute off. Octave, so that will just switch the octave up or down, and it doesn't switch it. Like if you do octave 1, octave 1, octave 1, it's not going to keep going up one. It's just going to be on the first octave up relative to its original octave. So if I want to take these all up one, you can see if I run octave up, or if I run octave 1 again, it's just going to stay the same. But if I do octave 2, then it will be an octave up from octave 1. And now if I want to get back to 0, back to the original, it's always 0, so it's easy to get back. If you want to see where one of these sounds came from in your sample library, just run OP, open, and it came from this Chapaholic kick. It was resampled. File we've gone over, open in Finder. Oh, yeah, don't worry about that one. Pattern we've gone over. Play, or P, play from 16th. So if you want to play from a specific point, we'll just play from, I'll do P16, 8. So that'll start part way through. And then there's play bar. So if we want to play from second bar, quit, we'll exit the app, record. You just do REC, record, play, and then you do record and then enter stop. And that will export. That'll save the recording and put it into your files, and it will freeze sometimes if you have a long recording, but if you just give it a minute or two, it'll come out of it and your recording will be fine. So if you notice DJ freezing, like I said, just give it a second, and I'm working on improving that so it will run on a background thread or something. Reset interface. If your UI gets all messed up, you're like, I can't see my text, or like the colors are just so weird you can't see what's going on, just run reset UI, and it'll kind of go back to the defaults. You can use reset output if like your sounds aren't playing. Just do reset output if something seems weird and it's like, why aren't my sounds playing no matter what I do? Reverse command, I'm going to change a theme to another theme. Let's do colorblind, use the theme command, and I'll do colorblind 1. Let's reverse some of these hats. So I also liked the octave up sound, so I'll do that. Okay. Let's reverse every other hat. So we're going to do RE to reverse, and you can do either all chops, random chops. You can select it 1 through 4, or by commas, specific ones. I want to do a binary pattern, so I'm going to do hat 0. Let's do on, reverse. Or sorry, forward, 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 reverse. And let's hear that. Oh, I did it on the kick on accident. Let's try that again. 0 in front. There we go. let's do random. Alright, if you want to turn all of them, reset all of them, you just do reset. Seems like it didn't reset all of them. That's interesting. One way to fix that maybe would be reverse all. Looks like it got a bit confused, so that's a bug. Reverse command still getting confused with reset. Yeah, it's a bug. Run AI. You've seen that one. When the AI responds, you can use run to run all of the AI commands. Scale. Alright, the scale. I love the scales in BTJ because they're microtonal and it's just like so flexible what you can do with it. So the scale command is SC or SCA. And first I'll play the scale. Has to stop. So that what you're hearing is these notes on the left being repeated over and over. The fundamental frequency is 512, and then these are ratios of 512 multiples up to 1024 hertz. Don't overthink it. Just you can run the scale command. It'll give you some options. Just intonation is a way of creating scales that is based on the vibration of a string, and it's more mathematically precise. It uses the actual math of how vibrations work instead of just doing equal division of the octave, which is what the Western scale everyone uses is equal divisions of the octave. It's a lot to get into right now, but if you know what to do, then you'll know what this means. But also just don't worry about it. Like, just listen to the notes and see what you like. What I would suggest often is just running R to create a random one. That'll do a random just intonation scale. You can listen to it with P. Let's say we want to play some chords just to hear how that sounds. We can do scale, we can do the chord option, and then we can either enter exactly which notes we want, like 0, 0, 3, or we can do random ones. If you want to see the ratios, you can do scale print, and it'll show you the hertz and also the ratios. You can manually set ratios. You can import a scale file, SCL file. You can export an SCL file and a KBM file. Really, we need a whole video on this command, but that's the basics. If you really want a Western major scale or minor scale, you're going to do SC, do equal division, 12 divisions, and then you're going to do major or minor. And you can also select exactly which pitch indexes you want, but let's say we want a minor. There you go, minor scale. And it's in the key of beat DJ. It is not in the A or C or anything like that. It is in the fundamental. It's based on the fundamental frequency of 512. You could set your 512 to 440 if you want to get more precise with it. Let's keep going. Select is just a way to select sounds. It's more of like a way to show you the kind of selections you can make. So when I'm talking about selections, I'm meaning like, okay, we want to delete kick. We want to delete the kick. Now kick is selected, or it should have been. That's strange. Okay. Anyways, the cyan number is what is currently selected. Let's say, yeah, let's take a look at all the different selections. So I'll just run cell, and you can see that these are the selection examples. You can select 0, you can type kick, you can type clap, comma, hat, you can invert your selection. So you're going to do, you want to select everything except the kick and the bass. So if you put an I asterisk, then it will invert your selection. You can select by frequency, so if you want to select like kick and bass, I often just use L. So I could like mute that or whatever. So these are just all the different ways you can select stuff. Let's select all the high frequency sounds. You can see it's selected all of these because they're all high frequency sounds. Another handy one, you can do random. Select random. Normally you don't even want to run this SCL command. What you're going to want to do is just like random melody. So you're going to do a random melody on a random selection of sounds. You can select by rack. You can do negative indexes. There's a whole bunch of ways you can select stuff, and that's just so you can, more precisely run commands on sounds faster, than having to select them all like on a graphical interface or whatever. I like to use the randomly percent or random percentage selection quite a bit, so I'll do like 1R to select like 10% of sounds, and maybe I'll just shorten them like that. You can see if I keep running that, it'll just kind of select randomly. And if I do like 50%, it'll do like half of them. Okay, set effects rack. We went over that one. Name, also known as tag. So if I want to just replace the name on all these and just say, I'll just do a T. I'm going to tag all these as high frequency. And let's say I want to keep the original names in them too, but I'm going to add a suffix. So I'll do suffix, and you can see it added high frequency to the end of all the names, or all the ones that were selected. Sorry. Let's do all T high frequency suffix. Boom. Now it added it twice on some of them, but you get the idea. You can also do replace. There you go. Now if I wanted to delete them all based on that name, I could do that. That might be a bug. Huh. Did not pick up when I typed the full name. That might be a bug. Maybe I had a typo or something, I don't know. I will have to check that out. Okay, set pitch. The pitch, let's try, the pitch is different than mel. It's a pitch modifier, a pitch multiplier. So it also changes the length of the loop. So let's do pitch 0.5. Basically, it's going to drop that down an octave. And you can also add a time multiplier. So let's start with the pitch really low, like 1, 2, 5. And then we're going to bring it up over time. So we'll bring it back to 1 over 8 whole notes. Or let's do 16 whole notes. Maybe that isn't working. Maybe the transition time isn't working anymore. I guess the transition time. Oops. Sound folder. That's how you can set your source directory for where your sounds come from. There are some shortcuts here. You can pull from your music folder, desktop, computer, your Beat DJ downloads from the cloud, or your microphone recordings. You can also enter the exact file path. Mine is currently set to my music folder. There is a way to do text-to-speech. So first you would select a voice, you run the voice command, and there are all these different voices. You pick one for your language. Let's do Amy Lowe. It's downloading Amy. If it's already downloaded, it will just select it. It won't re-download it. And now you can just run TTS, whatever you want to say.
Hey guys, what's up? I love Beat DJ.
Yeah, nice. All right. So voice to change command, and TTS or speak to say stuff.
Hello world.
Volume. You can change the volume of a sound. I will change volume on 1. If you do, what I like to do when I'm performing a lot is just do V, because you can see the default is 6 out of 9. So it'll just drop the volume. If something's a little bit too loud, just run V and it will usually bring it down to a nice level. There we go, you can see it just dropped the volume on that. And there's also transition time, so you can fade volume in and out. Shift will just shift the index, so it's the same as using the index command, but shifting it around. So we'll shift by 2 to get to 2, and then shift by -2 to get back to 0. And if you shift more than what's in the loop length, it will just divide it. Shrink. Let's set this loop length to 64. Clear all this. Now if I shrink it, it's just going to go from 64 to 32. It's like the opposite of the extend command. Shuffle. Shuffle will randomly change the notes around, and it will also has a probability of the notes being on. Default is 5 out of 9. So you can see if I run that a few times, it just shuffles those notes around and turn some of them off. If I want them all on, I just do 9. If I want like 30%, I just do that. And yeah, there you go. It's not exactly 30%, or is it? Yeah, 3 out of 9 is 30%, right? 3 out of 10 is 33%. All right. Sign in. Beat DJ will ask you to sign if you're creating a lot of sounds. It's important for us to have people sign in, and It gives us a way to contact you, and also when you send us feedback, it will send me your email, and then it also creates you an account you can log into on another device. So if you have all these sounds you're uploading to the cloud, you can download them onto another device later just by logging in and downloading them. So you can run the sign in command and just enter your email and password. You actually need to run sign up first. So run sign up first if you don't have an account yet. And then you rarely ever want to use sign out. I'm not sure why you'd want to use it unless someone else was like logging into their account on your computer. But yeah, mostly sign up, and then once you sign up, also it just keeps you signed in, so you rarely ever have to use sign in either. Um, if you have any problems with that, we did run into one glitch where we had a problem, but it's mostly fixed now. So very rare you'll have an issue, but if you do, just let us know and email me. By the way, my email is dev@sonier.net or ness@sonier.net, NES. The sky. Alright, the sky is fun. Let's do theme. We're gonna do default so we can see the sky. It's actually the sky is real time, so it follows the day-night cycle, which is kind of fun. You can run sky, and we'll turn the real time off, and we could set the hour to like 20 if we want to change it to night. And then we can set the day cycle length in minutes. Let's do like 1 minute so you can see it change quickly. So it's in sunset right now, and it's going to become nighttime soon. Solo is the opposite of mute. If you're used to music programs, you know that. It will solo whatever you select and mute everything else. Span command is very important. Let's say the span command is really for creating more like full song structure. So it's kind of where you want to put your sounds in the timeline. So real quick, let's delete that stuff, and I'm gonna do kick. The sample rate is so bad. Okay. Now let's say I want, let's put a hi-hat. Let's say I want the hi-hat to come in on the 8th bar and play to the 16th bar every 16 bars. And that's how you can kind of set up almost like a fractal song structure, which is really useful in dance music. Just having stuff come in at regular expectable intervals. So I'll run span, and I want the start time in bars to be 8, the end time in bars to be 16, and the length I want it to be considering that is within 16. I could do 32, so then it would only play from 8 to 16 every 32 bars. I'm going to do it every 16 bars. And now let's play and hear how that sounds. So on the next one around, there we go. And let's say we want to clap. We're going to do shorten it up with the volume envelope command. And then I want to do the span from 4 to 8 every 8 bars. So now you can see we have this kind of, we're going to have the kick is playing all the time. The hat's going to come, or the clap's going to come in next. And then the clap's going to drop out, the hi-hat's going to come in. and then the clap's going to come back in at the end. So we have this sort of like layering structure where we keep adding up parts. Um, and if we run the zoom out command, ZO, you can see the full structure of it right there. If I go any farther, it just duplicates that. Um, so let's play. Zoom in once. So we can just keep layering it. I don't know. Let's do bass. That's not bass. Just even that out a bit, make it easier to see what's happening. So let's bring in the bass on the next wave of things. So we're going to do 16 to 32 every 32. Now if we zoom out, you can see our bass is going to come in there. It's the max zoom out level because it gets too small to see what's happening anyways. Splitter, we've been using that one a lot. Stereo pan, yeah, you can pan stuff from -1 to 1. Let's pan our clap to pan -1. Oh, we have a conflicting command. Oops. Okay, so we'll just do 2 pan -1. Transition time. You can see the sphere over here floating to the left. Now if we do 1, it will float to the right. And 2 whole notes. There's no way to automate this yet in this version, but it will be like ready in the next version. There's a scheduling command where you could basically be panning things around, changing your effects, adding sounds, everything by using scheduled commands. I'm really excited about that. Stop, we've been using subscription or upgrade or sub or pro, or different ways you can type it. It will show you these options. You can start pro. Once you start, you'll pay for it. You can use the discount code PRO500, capital PRO 500 for 90% off your first 3 months. And then once you pay for it, you'll come back to Beat DJ and run enable or check. You can run Pro Manage to manage your payment methods, etc., cancel, or Pro Learn to see all the commands you get. And then if you want to do for life, you can purchase BTJ once without the monthly payment. And it's more expensive, but you get it all up front, and you don't have to worry about the subscription. And you get it for life. Sync BPM. You can just type sync, and when you hit enter, it'll restart the playhead. And it does it in a way that you can kind of try to sync up with other musicians. It's not great, but might work. Test, don't worry about that. Text to speech we went over. Theme we went over. You can create your own themes. We can do that real quick. Theme, create a new theme, or create random. Creating a new theme is kind of a lot to go through, but we can do create random, which is quicker, and it will just create a random theme. And that looks kind of cool. I like how those colors turned out. So if we want to save that, we can say yes, and let's call it it has the optional name Timeless that we could just use Enter to select. Let's call this tertiary. Is that how you spell tertiary? It looks like tertiary colors. I'll just call it tertiary. Alright. Enter. Now that saved it into our themes file, our theme folder. We can also submit it to be a default in Beat DJ if you want it. If I review it, I'm like, oh, that's sweet, then maybe I'll add it as a default for everyone. But if you run File, you can see all your themes in the theme folder, and you can see our tertiary theme is here. And if you double click it, you can see, exactly what those colors are. And you could even, sometimes what I do is take this, copy it, and throw it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to make it better. And so if you want to really customize your theme, you can get some pretty good results that way. That's how I did a lot of these themes here, is by using ChatGPT to optimize them. Theme accessibility. So the theme is a pro command, but we do want to offer colorblind themes to everybody in the default theme. So you can run theme A for everyone, and then there's a couple options there. Trigger height is kind of an advanced command. You probably don't need to use, and I think I'm running out of energy to explain that, so I'm going to skip that one. Up, we've gone over volume envelope will shorten or change. It doesn't shorten, it changes the volume envelope of the sound. So let's zoom in here. Also, if you want to rerun a command you just ran, just press tab. So I zoomed in a couple times. And now let's create a new sound. Okay, that looks like a good one to do this on. So check out the waveform of the snare. I'm going to run volume envelope, and then I'm going to do a volume pattern 0 to 9. So now the snare is fading upwards instead of downwards, the volume. I can go back to default by doing 9-9. And I can do 0-9-0 to go up and then down. You can do any combination of numbers. So I could do 0-9-0 and like that. Zoom in we've covered, and zoom out we've covered. That is all the commands. Can't believe I made it through. I knew it wasn't that many, but it felt like a lot. So congrats if you made it through. You have learned every single Beat DJ command, besides like one that I skipped. So that is awesome. If you have any specific questions, just email me at dev@sonyear.net, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much.